About a year ago, I took a close-up shot of my youngest son's eye. It's actually the same son, the same person you see here, and the same eye that you see here in this photo, except I think his hair might have been a little shorter in that original. And I've thought about that photo ever since. In that original, we were outside, and I just wanted to try a close-up of his eye, just for something fun. And I mean, it was fine. I feel like I learned a lot. It was a little tricky to nail focus with my camera moving just even the slightest amount and him moving even the slightest amount. The trickiest part, I think, was the lighting. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link, go to the blog, and then there's a link to the original photo. I think it's from like April of 22. And you'll see what I mean. You can see in the original, there's like a reflection of the surroundings in his eye, and then you can see there's a little bit of backlighting on his right-hand side, which actually I guess would be his left-hand side, the right-hand side of the frame. Anyway, in this photo, I kind of wanted to revisit that original, except with a little more control over the lighting, now that I have my Nanlite Pavo tubes, the things that have been supercharging basically all of my photos recently. What I did was we went into one of the, like our spare bedroom, basically. It has these light blocking shades, and I pulled those down and I set up my three Pavo tubes. Each one's about maybe 10 inches long or maybe a foot long, I'm not sure. But I set each one on a separate tripod. So I had three separate tripods, and I created like this triangle of light that was pointing all one direction. And what you see here in the reflection of his eye is you're literally looking at the lights. So just imagine a triangle of lights all pointed in the same direction. And I originally tried it with colors. I think I tried it with like maybe a blue, a green, and a purple. I'm not sure. And I thought it might be fun to do some sort of like, I don't know, colored reflection in his eye. It didn't quite work. I showed it to my brother Phil, and he was like, yeah, that looks like a weird sci-fi scanner of some kind. I thought, you're right. It just doesn't, whatever I was trying to get, it wasn't working. So we went and we kind of paused a little experiment and went and had lunch. And then I went back after we finished lunch, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try putting all the lights on white. And it might be kind of boring in terms of like coloration and all that, but it might look kind of cool. And that's exactly what you see here. It actually worked out really well. I set all the lights to the same color temperature. I think it was like 3,300, something in that range. And I kept the arrangement the same, the triangle. And I also used a chair for my son to sit on. I actually tried this with both my kids. One was a little taller than the other, and I basically did until one got tired, and I called the other one in and said, hey, can you come in and try helping me with this? So this is my youngest son, and he's sitting on a chair backwards with his head resting on the tall back of the chair. And directly in front of him are these three lights, and then I'm taking his photo. I shot this at, I think, f8. I used auto ISO, so the minimum shutter was 180th of a second. Ended up with an ISO of 2800, which is perfectly fine on the D750. And, you know, I wasn't even sure, like, I looking at it now, I don't actually know if it's good. I don't even know if it did what I was going for, because I'm not really sure what I was going for. Just something kind of creative. And I guess in that regard, it probably succeeds. It's a little different. You don't usually see a light reflection that looks like a triangle like this. Is it interesting to look at? I don't know. I guess that's up to you. But if nothing else, it was a fun experiment to try. The trickiest part, I think, was the editing. I just couldn't get it right. And even now, I'm not happy with the colors. I actually desaturated most of it and played around with the saturation then of the iris. I used a brush to increase the saturation on that, and played around with the white balance, and I don't know, it's fine. I'm not trying to harp on it and be like, woe is me, this is a terrible photo. It's not. It's a good photo. I'm not sure it quite accomplishes what I was going for, but I don't even know what I was going for. So I guess in that regard, it probably works.